as far as with the fourth trimester and what my experience has been with the fourth trimester is that it is definitely a challenge, to say the least. I mean, at first you're sleep deprived. You're trying to decide whether the child is going to sleep in a crib or a bassinet, and should you co-sleep, because you could also be mom shamed for that. And so there's a lot of just even the first night of where does the baby sleep, and does the baby sleep, and where do they eat, and where do you clean bottles, and where do you change diapers. So it's chaos, but it's kind of organized chaos too. I mean, you've been preparing for that. So if you can learn how to schedule sleep and try to get what you can, and I know a lot of people say sleep when the baby sleeps, but that's also a myth. Because you kind of have to make decisions and prioritize of shower and eat and sleep, and all of those things kind of fit in there. So it is very difficult with the fourth trimester, and it's just a lot of figuring out each other. The baby figuring out the family, and the family figuring out the baby as well.
We were lucky enough that we had a friend who, or some friends who had a baby about
8 months.
8 months, yeah, it was 8 months difference. And they were a really good support of people that we can go to through the whole process.
You know, if you have that luxury of having a supportive partner, like, enjoy the time you have. And if you're not enjoying it and you're feeling like a robot that you just have to put on a smile and not show any like anger or resentment, you know, take a step back, because like realizing she's going to remember that. So taking a step back, taking a moment to yourself, self-care is very, very, very important.
Usually when you talk about the kid, everybody asks like, oh, well, how's your wife doing? Is she okay? How's she sleeping? And you know, it's like, well, actually I'm the one taking care of all that. And yeah, it's like nobody really thinks to ask how you're doing.
I had heard about the fourth trimester before I had my son. And I was seeing a therapist throughout pregnancy, so she prepared me for some of the things that I might experience in the fourth trimester. What I didn't realize about it was that fourth trimester doesn't end like it's not like 3 months and then you're done. For me, it was a full year after my son was born before I started, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for me, that as long as I was breastfeeding, those hormones were still affecting me just as much, and it was still the challenges of having, an older baby versus a newborn I always tell people they're just different. Like, it doesn't get easier, but it's just different challenges. So I really feel like people talk about the fourth trimester, and even your OB says like, okay, now you're ready to, you've passed your checkup, now you're ready to have sex again. And it's, it's not like that. It's a very gradual sort of healing process, both physically, emotionally, mentally, of getting back to a semblance of how you might have been before you had a baby. You're never going to be the same, but it gets to be closer to maybe how you were before.